Now, that self-awareness piece has to be super integral to reputation management because you don't know what you don't know and you have to be aware of it to even manage it. Because I'm guessing this is not something you can outsource or delegate going, can you manage my reputation for me? I mean, to some point there is because we have PR firms when it gets to that level, but we don't have PR firms internally in the organization. So, how do we recognize when our actions are not in alignment with the reputation that we want?
Yeah, I'll push back slightly on we don't have PR firms in the organization. So I ran executive communications at SAP, and
Okay.
we were like an internal PR firm. So we took responsibility for each of the board members and the CEO, and we would work very closely with them on what are your messages as an individual? How do those messages match the company messages? Where are your audiences? And how good are you at disseminating those messages? And if there are gaps, what do we need to fix?
But doesn't that take away, and I totally hear what you're saying, and I know organizations that absolutely do that because there's some horrible executives that you never know are horrible because they've been rubber roomed to, they've
Massaged.
been absolutely.
Yeah.
Where's the accountability in that though?
Yeah, I mean, the accountability for them comes with critiques on LinkedIn. They post something and somebody pushes back. I mean, it's quite hard to get away with it now. It's quite hard. Or
Fair.
Glassdoor, or, you know, the
Yeah, just
accountability does come.
it's almost like you hope their internal PR firm isn't too great, isn't too good
Yes,
at their jobs,
yes.
because that CEO or whatever could be poisoning the organization with their one-on-one conversations, and we don't know, and because it's being kept silent. And I'm again, this is a generalization, but there are many executives who are not leaders and who have never been told or trained properly that they may need to correct their behaviors. And we are going into extreme levels here, but there could be just cutting people off in meetings, or like there could be these little things that just pick away at someone's reputation. That Yeah, so I feel like I totally get it from one side, and the other side I'm like, could they take some responsibility themselves for their own reputation, because that's a leader to me.
Yeah, for sure. And now in my work with clients as an independent consultant, I don't like to ghostwrite. I don't like to do polished images anymore. I would much prefer to empower somebody in how to show up as their best possible self, because to me that's much more authentic. And I like authenticity. I want to see the real person. I don't want to see that polished, perfect exterior.
I am You can't see this right now, but I'm doing a slow clap to that as I hate ghostwriting. I get being too busy, but at the same time, we can't say authentic in one sentence and then go, could you write this for me? I'll just
No.
proofread it afterwards in the next. It is hypocritical, to say the least. So thank you for saying that. Again, also as a communications nerd, I'm like, you can't hire somebody else to build relationships for you. You have to do that yourselves.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So leaders in an organization, what are you telling them that they need to focus on? Personal habits, practices, developing, enhancing, to make sure that they have a handle on their reputation? What personal work do they might need to do?
Yeah, it's really about, for good leaders, not the bad type we've just been talking about. It's really about good self knowledge. The leaders who I interviewed for my book, who are emerging or established leaders from diverse identities and backgrounds, have done the work. It's often because they've faced obstacles. So, one of my interviewees was a CEO as a man and now is a trans woman and a board member. And she was able to compare and contrast what it was like leading organizations as a man, how easy it was when she gave instructions, and how much harder it is now as a woman. So,
Mhm.
what I'm saying is, she went through massive obstacles to get where she is today. So, she has beautiful self knowledge. So, I'm seeing that a lot. People who've had therapy, they've done coaching, they've done the work, they understand themselves, they know what their triggers are. That's the first part. Those people lead with empathy because of the obstacles they've been through. And they are inclusive in the way that they lead, but not inclusive in it's all, flowers and meadows and candy floss and holding hands and skipping. It's inclusive in that we can disagree and have uncomfortable conversations because we have already built the trust and the psychological safety in my organization. Because as I said at the top, You don't get innovation and creativity in organizations if you aren't having those really honest, really open conversations. So those leaders do the work on themselves, understand their triggers, lead with empathy, and then build psychological safety and trust in order to innovate and in order to be creative and in order to lead successful organizations.
What's really highlighted for me in that is that reputation management is far more about preparation, not reaction. So, to that point, if, say, a leader in an organization does a misstep, and I just mean like everyday, day to day operations, said the wrong thing to the wrong group and sort of fractured the reputation that they'd already been building, how do they recover from that? If they're, really working on their self awareness, they're really prioritizing this. How did they adjust, or do they, to your point, if they've got all that psychological safety work, it'll just work out itself?
No, they need to address it. So they need to
Yeah.
take that team aside. They need to take that team aside and go, guys, I misspoke. I'm really sorry. I felt so uncomfortable when I got home that night. My partner told me I was an idiot. And I'm here to say I am open to you showing me the way. And next time I do something like that, call me out in the moment. Act with vulnerability. Brene Brown, vulnerability is strength.
What's come up a lot for me in a lot of the conversations I've had is the importance of, as a leader, you're part of the team, you're not an other of the team. And that a lot of leaders are very lonely in the sense that I am responsible for this team and it's almost like put on a shelf over there. I need to make sure that's the most productive, happy group possible without including themselves in it. So I love the fact that you're like, if you have a problem, A, don't wait too long to address it, because it's not something you come back 6 months later going, hey, remember that time I was an idiot in that meeting? Yeah, nobody remembers. They just hate you now. However, it's really important. I love that you're talking about, like, no, that is your community. That is where you can rely on and your resource to be better, as opposed to, oh, it's just something I'm trying not to break every day.
Yeah, I love it too. And who doesn't want to be led by a leader like that? I've been led by those people who sit on the pinnacle and occasionally turn up and give some instructions. But I mean, employees are burnt out. People are exhausted. Work isn't working. People are miserable. And the onus is on leaders to make it better by creating these inclusive cultures that innovate and succeed.
What do you feel are some self blind spots that we might have when it comes to understanding or improving our own reputations?
That's a good question. I think leaders really do need to ask for feedback, and that goes back to the creative abrasion and encouraging debate and discussion. And don't react when people give you feedback. Don't freak out and start self-justifying. Just say thank you and take it away and let it sit and see what happens. One of my interviewees is a Black woman in the UK, and she talked about how she deals with microaggressions. She says she doesn't shame people, but she very quietly organizes a one-on-one with that person and just asks them why they said the thing they said, and then explains to them how it might be received by people who are from another community or another background. You don't ever need to shame people. I think shaming is the worst thing a leader can do. If you've got something to say that you think might be difficult, or you want to hear something as a leader, you want some feedback, do it quietly, do it directly with that person.